Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. It's Teresa here. If you're new here, welcome to my channel, and I hope that you will hit the subscribe button. Today I'm sharing a hybrid layout created for the Jefferies Designs creative team and working with the Hear My Voice number 33 Deciding collection. So first off, let me share with you some details about the background that I've created in Photoshop and printed out prior to pulling the layout all together. Alright, so I'm working in Photoshop CC and working on a PC. And let me go into the layers menu here and just share with you some of the details about the background. So this is the completed layout in Photoshop before printing or anything. I usually do this. I've heard some call it a mock-up. I just tend to call it my page design. And let me turn everything off, and I'm going to share with you layer by layer how this has come about. So first, the background pattern paper. This is one of the pattern papers in the collection as it is in the collection itself. And then this is a full patterned, a partial patterned paper. So the original pattern paper has a white background. And let me just show you. What I did was, when you right click on the layer, you go into blending options, and it brings up the blending options layer style menu box. And I've left everything at the top the same, but these nice little slider bars give you some flexibility in terms of blending pattern papers together. And I love this because this is what the pattern paper looks like originally, out of the box, so to speak. And then I just dialed it back to just show the blue, to just show aspects of the blue here on my layout. I've added some of the mixed media and stamps here from the Elements pack, and you can just see those, some of the font, and this piece here is actually a mix of like a torn paper, and I didn't really want to use the OK part, so I've added a little piece here that just shows the script, and then I flipped it upside down for the top piece up here. And what I'm doing here is sort of, again, blending out another layer. I did want to leave some of the framing from the original patterned paper. And of course, you can see that these are layered on top of the blue and the grayish purple background, so that the blue here is underneath that white. So the ladies here, there are two ladies. Let's see. Just one is coming up right now. But with her, I did the same blending mode. So let me show you how she looks out of the box. And she is just, well, she's underneath the blue, but for fun, let's drag her to the top so that you can see. Sure. Let's see for the blending options here. Okay. For this one, I did some of the underlying layer as well. And so what you can do with these elements is you can manipulate the layer that you're on and the layer underneath. And so for this one, I have turned the underlying layer slider bar down, and when I bump it back up and the current layer, then she should be showing as her own full piece. So that's how I kind of work with her to get her to look as though she's peering out from behind the layers. And I encourage you just to really play around with that in your layering when you're preparing your layouts, printing, or for hybrid work. Play around with that. Play around with layer order. You can make her appear above these branches, on top of the branches, so they show underneath her. You get to play around with it and decide. So I added, as a beginning sort of page design, to ground the page design, I added the 2 branch elements here. It's the same element, just duplicated and flipped upside down. And so this starts to develop a kind of central line, if you will, sort of slightly off center. And this is the line that everything else will be based off of for the layout. I added some other mixed media items here around the edges. I added some of this green as sort of a contrasting color to the purple, violet, gray background, but also analogous to the blue pattern paper in the center. A couple of elements here further developing this central line here, and then here's the other lady that shows from behind the scenes. This is the beginning of the photo here. So a couple of things that I did with the photo. I clipped it to this paint, and then added a couple of marks here as well. Just adding that little bit of distress. The photo itself has the same sort of blended feeling as the ladies here. And I really like that feeling of just being a part of the background, being a part of the art that we make. My title is going there, and then I believe from here on out everything is going to be printed as physical. The frame, which I printed on a transparency, and the florals here all starting to pop up and be a full, or form a full layout here with all of the beautiful elements and the journaling and everything that I wanted to add to it. So that's the completed layout. Let's go and follow along with my process. Okay, so everything has been sent to the printer and to the silhouette to be printed out. The frame, as I mentioned, is printed on just a regular office transparency. There are some very expensive ones out there. If you try this, you don't have to get the expensive ones. Get the moderately priced ones. They have a texture on one side that absorbs the ink. So this is the printed out background. And so now you can see how all of these layers came together, and now what they look like printed out here as the 12 by 12. And the fun part, I actually get lost in the digital process, but I also find adding the embellishments, the physical embellishments, is the second half of the fun. Okay, so first off, I'm going to attach the transparency here. And I already know that I'm going to add the cluster of flowers to the right hand side. So I'm going to conceal the tape runner adhesive underneath those flowers. You could also attach it with stitching, with brads, with staples. But I find it pretty normal to hide it underneath embellishments for me, just because of the way that I layer things. And I do think about that in the page design itself. And so here you can see that I am doing what I always do and bending up the edges of these floral embellishments just a little bit to help them pop off the page. And I say this with every hybrid video that I do. This is the fun for me of hybrid, is creating that dimension, creating a visual depth here from what is otherwise a flat object. The designers have already begun creating this beautiful dimension with their shading and the shadows and the elements themselves, which I just find absolutely dreamy. And then laying them out on the scrapbook page this way brings it even more to you and invites you into this experience of this page. So one little character that I really liked in this collection was the bird. And so he's kind of looking towards the future over there at the top of this floral cluster. I also love this butterfly. She is actually designed to look like an enamel element or an enamel bit. So she's a little bit shiny in real life and a little bit curved. And it's really pretty. It's different than how we normally do butterflies on the lighter side. She's got strength here. She's going to withstand all of this. So great symbolism here. The bird representing freedom and expression, right? Birds are loud and they sing their own tune. They don't worry about whether they're in tune or not, or whether anybody else can understand them. They're just singing their tune. And I love that. Again, just choosing little bits of symbolism here. The theme for this month for Hear My Voice was deciding. And of course, I choose this word art as a very prominent statement that this is my life, where I am, and how I'm living my life is how I choose. And it's a distinct privilege. I'm aware of that. I'm grateful for that. It's also been hard work to get there. And so I'm claiming this. And that decision, the deciding factors, were actually my own life, my own mental health, and helping me decide how to live in a much more peaceful kind of way. And that's what all of these elements sort of combine to say in a very colorful way. I'm also living my life in broad color, like a wide color palette. No color is off limits here. Another bit of symbolism for you. I really enjoyed using these larger floral embellishments here. They do compete with the photo, but not in a threatening way, of course. It's more in a being bold kind of way. The photo, by the way, was taken at the Frida Kahlo exhibit in Richmond. And they had a little selfie station there where you could take your own photos, inviting you to be part of the Frida Kahlo exhibit itself using one of the a replica of one of the wallpapers that is featured in Frida's own photography work. And I love that. I love that so much. We get to envision ourselves being as bold and as brave as Frida Kahlo was. And some of that is reflected in this layout. Sometimes you just visit an exhibit and it impacts your life forever. And I think that one did. So I hope that this has been inspiring for you, that you've enjoyed watching this process. I will have links to the Deciding collection down below for you. And as always, I appreciate you so much for being here. I'll see you back here again real soon. Bye-bye.